My fiancée suddenly walked out of our cake tasting appointment and texted me, "I can't marry you. I need someone more exciting. You're not on my level." I told the bakery, "Cancel the order." An hour later, I found out she had run straight to her ex, the same man who dumped her 2 years ago. 3 days later, she and her ex were both standing at my door, panicking while I'm Ethan, 31, and until last week I thought I had my life figured out. I'd been engaged to Kara for 7 months, together for 2 years total. The wedding was 3 months away, invitations sent, venue booked, deposits paid. We'd been planning our future down to the paint colors in our hypothetical house. Then she blew it all up during a cake tasting. We'd scheduled the appointment at this upscale bakery for a Tuesday afternoon. Both of us took time off work. I showed up on time, excited actually, because Kara had been stressed about wedding planning, and I thought this would be a fun, low-pressure activity. She arrived 15 minutes late, which wasn't unusual, but she seemed off, distracted, kept checking her phone. The baker brought out the first samples, vanilla bean with raspberry filling. I tried mine, made some comment about how good it was. Kara barely touched hers, just pushed it around her plate with a fork. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah, fine," she said, not looking at me. We tried 3 more flavors. She was completely checked out. Finally, the baker excused herself to get the contract paperwork. And that's when Kara stood up abruptly. "I need to go," she said. "What? We're in the middle of—" "I just need to go, Ethan. I can't do this right now." She grabbed her purse and walked out, just left me sitting there with the baker coming back with forms in her hand. I apologized, said we'd need to reschedule, and went outside to find Kara. Her car was already gone. I called her 3 times. No answer. Then I got a text. "I can't marry you. I need someone more exciting. You're not on my level, I'm sorry." I stood in that parking lot for probably 10 minutes, just staring at my phone. Not on her level? We'd been together for 2 years. She'd said yes when I proposed. We'd planned an entire wedding. And she was ending it via text in a bakery parking lot? I went back inside and told the baker to cancel our order. She looked sympathetic but didn't ask questions, which I appreciated. Then I drove home in a daze. By the time I got home, Kara had already come by the apartment, we lived together, and taken some of her things, not everything, just essentials, clothes, toiletries, her laptop. There was no note, no explanation beyond that text. I called my best friend Ryan, told him what happened. He went quiet for a second, then said, "Man, I hate to tell you this, but Kara's ex Brandon is back in town. I saw him at the gym yesterday. He asked about her." Brandon, Kara's ex-boyfriend from before me. They dated for 3 years, and according to Kara, he dumped her out of nowhere, moved across the country for work, broke her heart. She'd told me multiple times that their relationship had been intense, but toxic, that she'd grown as a person since then, that she'd never go back to that. "You think she's with him?" I asked Ryan. "I don't know, but the timing's weird." I checked social media. Nothing. Then I did something I'm not proud of. I logged into our shared iCloud account. We'd set it up months ago to share photos and calendars her location was on. She was at Brandon's mom's house. I recognized the address because Kara had pointed it out once when we drove past it. So, yeah. She'd walked out of our cake, tasting, and driven straight to her ex's place. The ex who supposedly destroyed her. The ex she claimed she was completely over. I sat on the couch for hours trying to process it. Finally, around 11 p.m., I started making calls. First to the wedding venue, canceled, lost the deposit, but didn't care. Then to the caterer, canceled. Then to the photographer, the florist, the DJ. Spent 2 hours systematically dismantling our wedding while Kara was presumably reconnecting with Brandon Update 1. The next morning, I woke up to 17 texts from Kara's friends. Apparently, she'd told them I'd been emotionally distant and that she needed to follow her heart. No mention of Brandon, of course. I didn't respond to any of them. Around noon, Kara's sister Madison called me. Madison and I had always gotten along well. She was the maid of honor. "Ethan, what the hell happened?" she asked. I told her everything. The cake tasting, the text, how Kara went straight to Brandon's. Madison was quiet for a long moment. "She's with Brandon? Are you sure?" "I'm sure." "Oh my God. Ethan, I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to say. Our family loves you. This is insane." "Does your family know about Brandon?" "They know she's calling off the wedding. She told them you two grew apart. She didn't mention Brandon at all." "Of course she didn't. Madison, can you do me a favor? Don't tell her we talked. Just let this play out." "What are you planning?" "Nothing. I'm just done being the bad guy in whatever story she's telling people." That afternoon, I got a call from our landlord. Kara had contacted him asking to be removed from the lease. She wanted out completely, which meant I'd need to cover full rent or move. I told him I'd take over the lease myself. I didn't want to move. This was my place too. Then I started packing up Kara's remaining stuff, not angrily, just methodically. Boxed everything up, labeled it, stacked it near the door. If she wanted her things, she could get them, but I wasn't going to live surrounded by reminders. 2 days after the cake incident, I got a call from Brandon's number. I didn't recognize it at first, but when I answered, I heard his voice. "Ethan? Hey man, it's Brandon. Look, I know this is weird, but can we talk?" "About what?" "About Kara. I think there's been a misunderstanding." I almost laughed. "What kind of misunderstanding?" "She told me you guys had broken up, like weeks ago. She said the wedding was already canceled and you'd both moved on." "She told you that?" "Yeah. She said she'd been trying to work things out, but you were seeing someone else, I swear, man. I didn't know you two were still together. I wouldn't have..." "Wouldn't have what? Slept with her?" Silence. Then, "I'm really sorry this is messed up." "Where is she now?" "She's here. At my mom's place. She's been staying here since Tuesday." "Put her on the phone." More silence. Then Kara's voice, small and defensive. "Ethan, you told him we broke up weeks ago?" "I was going to break up with you. I'd been thinking about it for..." "That's not the same as actually doing it, Kara. You were still wearing your engagement ring at that cake tasting. You were still living in our apartment. You lied to him about me, and you lied to me about him." "I didn't lie." "You absolutely did. You walked out of that bakery and drove straight to him. You didn't need someone more exciting. You needed him specifically. Just say that." She started crying. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this." "How did you mean for it to happen? Were you going to wait until after the wedding?" "That's not fair. You know what's not fair? Texting your fiancé that he's not on your level while you're in a parking lot about to go sleep with your ex. That's not fair." I hung up. My hands were shaking. Brandon called back immediately. I let it go to voicemail. Update 2. Day 3 after the bakery incident, I was at home watching TV, still in sweatpants, still processing everything, when there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Kara and Brandon standing there. Both of them looked awful. Kara had been crying. Brandon looked stressed and uncomfortable. "What do you want?" I asked, not moving from the doorway. "Can we come in?" Kara asked. "We need to talk to you." "No, you can talk from there." Brandon spoke up. "Look, man, this whole thing is a mess. Kara told me you guys were done, and I believed her. I feel terrible." "Cool. Feel terrible somewhere else." "Ethan, please," Kara said. "Can we just talk like adults?" "Adults don't blow up their relationships via text message, Kara. What do you want?" She took a shaky breath. "I made a mistake. A huge mistake. I got scared about the wedding and I panicked, and I ran to Brandon because he felt safe and familiar. But I realize now that I love you. I want to fix this." I stared at her. "You want to fix this?" "Yes. I know I hurt you, but people make mistakes. We can go to counseling, we can postpone the wedding, whatever you need." "What changed?" I asked. 3 days ago, I wasn't on your level. What's different now?" She glanced at Brandon. He looked away. Brandon and I realized we're not compatible anymore, she said carefully. We've both changed. It wasn't what I remembered. So you came back to me because it didn't work out with him. That's your pitch? That's not what I'm saying. That's exactly what you're saying. You wanted to see if the grass was greener, it wasn't, so now you want to come back to the safe option. Brandon finally spoke up again. Dude, for what it's worth, I told her this was a bad idea. You deserve better than this. Thanks for the advice, I said flatly. From the guy who slept with my fiancée. Ex-fiancée, Kara said quietly. Yeah, I agreed. Ex, that's the one thing you got right. Ethan, please. Your stuff is packed in boxes by the door. I'll leave them on the porch tomorrow morning. Don't contact me again. We're done. You're not even going to consider... Consider what? Taking back someone who called me boring and ran to her ex the second things got real? No, Kara, I'm not considering that. She started crying harder. Brandon put his hand on her shoulder, but she shook him off. I'm sorry, she said through tears. I'm so sorry. I know you are. You're sorry it didn't work out with him. You're sorry you have to face consequences. But you're not sorry for what you did to me. If you were, you wouldn't be here asking for a second chance. You'd be apologizing and moving on. I closed the door, stood there listening to them talk in the hallway for a few minutes before they finally left. Update 3. The next morning, I put all of Kara's boxes on the porch. She came by around 10 a.m. to get them. I watched from the window as she loaded everything into Brandon's car. Guess he was helping her move. They didn't knock or try to talk to me again. Over the next week, the full story started coming out through mutual friends. Turns out, Kara and Brandon had been texting for about a month before he moved back to town. Nothing physical until after she left me, according to both of them, but emotionally, she'd already checked out. Several of our friends felt betrayed on my behalf and cut her off. A few took her side, said I was being too harsh and everyone deserves forgiveness. I let those friendships fade. Kara's family reached out individually. Her mom apologized profusely, said she was ashamed of Kara's behavior. Her dad offered to pay back my portion of the wedding deposits, which I declined but appreciated. Madison kept in touch, giving me updates I didn't ask for, but kind of wanted anyway. The most interesting update came 3 weeks after everything went down. Kara and Brandon had a massive fight and broke up. Again. According to Madison, Brandon told Kara he couldn't trust her after she'd lied to him about me, and Kara accused him of leading her on. They were both apparently miserable. She keeps asking about you, Madison told me over coffee. Wants to know if you're seeing anyone, if you hate her, if there's any chance you'd talk to her. What do you tell her? That you've moved on and she needs to do the same. Good. Have you moved on, though? I thought about it. I'm getting there. Some days are harder than others, but I'm not sitting around waiting for her to come back, if that's what you mean. That's good. You deserve someone who doesn't need to test other options to appreciate you. Final update. It's been 4 months since the cake tasting disaster. I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I threw myself into work, started going to the gym regularly, reconnected with friends I'd neglected during the relationship. My apartment feels like mine now, instead of ours. I got a dog, a rescue named Murphy, who's an absolute mess but makes me laugh every day. Kara tried to reach out a few times, a long email apologizing and explaining her thought process, which I read once and deleted. A birthday text I didn't respond to. A message through Madison asking if we could meet for coffee to get closure. I declined through Madison. I don't need closure from her. I got my closure when I canceled that wedding and packed up her stuff. I heard through the grapevine that Kara's been struggling. Lost some friends. Her family's disappointed in her. She's in therapy trying to work through why she sabotaged a good relationship. I don't take pleasure in that, but I don't feel guilty about it either. She made her choices. Brandon apparently moved back across the country. Couldn't handle the drama and awkwardness of running into mutual friends who knew what happened. Can't say I blame him, though I also don't feel particularly sorry for him. The weirdest part of this whole thing is how many people have told me I dodged a bullet. At first, I hated hearing that, because it felt like they were minimizing what I'd lost. But they're right. I didn't just lose a fiancé. I avoided marrying someone who would have done this eventually anyway. Better to find out at a cake tasting than at a 5-year anniversary I've started dating casually. Nothing serious yet, but I'm open to it. The difference now is I know what I won't tolerate. I won't tolerate someone who makes me feel like I'm not enough. I won't tolerate someone who keeps one foot out the door. I won't tolerate being someone's backup plan. My friend Ryan asked me last week if I'd take Kara back if she showed up tomorrow, completely changed, genuinely sorry, ready to do the work. No, I said without hesitation, because even if she's changed, I've changed too. I'm not the guy who would accept that anymore. Last week, I got a wedding invitation in the mail, my buddy from college getting married next spring. There was a time when getting wedding invites would have been painful, reminder of what I lost. But when I opened it, I just felt happy for him. Maybe that's the real sign I've moved on. I've learned some things these past few months. I've learned that someone can love you and still betray you. I've learned that closure doesn't always come from conversations. Sometimes it comes from simply deciding you're done. I've learned that the trash sometimes takes itself out, and you should let it go instead of chasing after it. Mostly, I've learned that I'm going to be fine. Actually, I'm going to be better than fine. Because I'm choosing myself now, the way I should have been chosen all along.